Son is joining. She said she will join from this place, Canada, and I said, okay, you're welcome. Do whatever. Let me know you are there. You want to ask a question? Absolutely welcome.
Sir, live streaming is going to start.
Okay, okay. Once you, within 1 minute after that, I will
Yes, yes.
start.
Sir, you can start now.
Yes, I can start in next 1 minute. Yeah, Ashaji. Ashaji, are we ready?
I'm fine, ready,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We have 12 seconds. Yeah, it's 5:30 IST.
Sure.
Yeah, great. Good morning in US, Canada. People are joining. Some have already joined. Good afternoon in UK, Europe, Africa. Good evening in Asia, Pacific, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, many other countries. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed, it's a great day for me to welcome someone very well known, distinguished professor, Dr. Asha Bhandarker, to this prime time leadership excellence series called New DNA of Leadership. Welcome, Dr. Bhandarkar.
Thank you, DK. Honor and a pleasure to be here.
It is indeed my honor to introduce such a great personality in education and business excellence field as an education and business excellence leader to you, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I would like to start with three T's. This has become very common for me because these three T's are so powerful for me, and I would like to give it here today, especially when Dr. Bhandarkar is around. First T is trust, second T is transparency, and third T is togetherness. Our guest of honor this evening, Dr. Bhandarkar, words of three T's. She mentioned in the month of May 2020, when we had organized a strategic leadership rather, webinar, wherein we had our guru, our mentor, Padma Shri Dr. Preetam Singh, along with Dr. Bhandarkar, and three more leadership gurus like Dr. Sunil Mithas from US, Dr. Alfredo from Europe, and Dr. Sola from England. That was a very marvelous and last program with Padma Shri Dr. Preetam Singh. And then we were in huge issues of COVID. We are not still out of that. At that point of time, Dr. Bhandarkar talked about, hey, at leadership level, we need trust, transparency, and togetherness. And especially in COVID days. That was so apt, and I cannot forget this. And I wish to inform the audience, the attendees here, who are watching now and who will be watching later, that I have been using these three T's in my lot of webinars, quoting Dr. Bhandarkar mentioned in May 2020 webinar. This is the power of our great speaker this evening. Let me give you an overview of personality we are with, who is with us today, Dr. Bhandarker. I will be brief because in case I start talking about her, I don't know, it will be half an hour. So I will be quick and brief. Dr. Bhandarkar was born in Mumbai in a Konkani speaking family. Father a banker, father a banker. She grew up in Hyderabad. Her mom and dad were there to take care of her and influenced her. That's what she is today. And she says, Mom and dad influenced me a lot till PhD. She started her doctoral with Dr. Preetham Singh, soon after doing MS psychology, and he has been her guru, her co author, her boss at MDI Gurgaon at IMI New Delhi. Dr. Bhandarkar did her BA psychology, philosophy, English literature from Nizam College, Hyderabad, 75 to 78, and then MA psychology, Osmania University, 1978 to 80. Of course, PhD business management, 81, 84. Dr. Bhandarkar is also certified from Tavistock Institute of Human Relations, London, on leadership and organization way back in 1990. She also had advanced course of training the trainers from National Training Labs, Bethel Manny in USA in 1997. Her career span has been since 1981 as a doctoral student ASCI Hyderabad till 84, 85 to 95 faculty manager organizational behavior area at IPE Hyderabad, director of lead center Hyderabad 96 to 99. From 99 to 2012, Raman Munjal Chair Professor of Leadership Studies at MDI Gurgaon, then Chairperson of PGDN HRM at PGDM International Management Institute, IMI Delhi, 2004 to 2009, Dean Research and Consulting at IMI, 2009 to 2012, and then Dean Industrial Relations and Consulting, again at IMI, since 2012. And currently, she is Distinguished Professor of Organizational Behavior at IMI Delhi. I think I need to stop here. Dr. Bhandarkar, you know, I have the greatest respect and regard for you, personally and professionally, because I know you last more than 2 decades. It's my excitement and thrill to welcome you today to this show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Great listening to you. I don't know how much of whatever you say I deserve, but then you're a very kind person and a good friend. So, good friends are normally blinded by their own friends. So, I hope I live up to your expectations in this interaction and provide something useful.
Ma'am, we all learn from you from every interaction we have, normally not in a digital mode. Personal is always good. I hope koi lota de mere beete hue din. I hope go back to those days. Ma'am, we will be on this Zoom and we have people joining at Facebook, Global TV, and YouTube.
Right.
The format would be that I would be talking to you, asking you some questions. And in the meanwhile, those who are on Zoom, they will keep on parking their questions. But I will allow the Zoom people to ask questions themselves as well.
Okay.
Whereas Varsha will support me on getting questions from the Facebook and other channels, and I would ask those questions.
Fair.
What I am going to be doing is my focus would be your journey of excellence as a business leader and education leader, starting from your childhood. I would certainly look at your leadership learning from your mentors, and especially the mentor one, Padma Shri Dr. Preetham Singh. I am keen to know from you about authentic and ethical leadership perspective And at the end, I would like you to give some messages of building people and prosperity in the global world. Ma'am, with your permission, can I start?
Yes, waiting, Bakshiji.
Dr. Bhandarker, we all know you are one of very well known, successful education business leader. You have been impacting businesses, you have been impacting stakeholders, you have been impacting employees at leadership levels. You have been impacting the governing boards of the companies. You are yourself on Punjab National Bank board of directors, and you are yourself at IMT Ghaziabad board of directors, which I forgot in your introduction. You're a brand in yourself. But before I go to that, I am very keen, and probably audience is also very keen to know about your childhood, about your student age, and who impacted you, your immediate parents or any mentors. Ma'am, for you.
Okay. So I believe in answering in very quick and very short modes. If it is inadequate, please prompt me further.
Sure.
So, first point, when I look back, and this morning I was thinking who actually, had a great impact on me. One thing which comes to my mind, of course, they say behind every successful person, there is a wife. But I say behind every successful person, there is a family. It's not only, my father, not only my mother, but my grandparents, my grandmother. In fact, my father was first generation migrant to Hyderabad, and from a small town near Mangalore in Karnataka. And he loved the city. He was a banker. He stayed on there. And, those times, long, long ago, when I was a kid, the world was quite conservative. But especially when it came to education, right? It was my grandmother who blessed me, supported me, encouraged me to go ahead and do my PhD, because in those days, the major concern was, oh, but if you study so much, who will marry you?
I see.
Primary concern. And it was my grandmother who supported me. And once my father was convinced, he supported me. And of course, my entire family supported me very well. My mother supported me very kindly. So this is about family. The family focused so much on education because education was seen as the key to a better life. In fact, even with my father, it was my grandfather who supported him to get educated. And therefore, that lesson that education is the key to, a better life, my father passed on very kindly to me also. So we didn't have to do anything at home. It was, even today I hear with horror how, women, girl child is treated. And I say, my goodness, have I been blessed that I've never had this kind of a situation? I've always been encouraged to study and say, go on, you do your work, you prepare, you do well in life. That was the message I would get from family. Same thing with the siblings, of course. And now I come to school and college. School and college, it would be, my dad got me into the best school in town, then the best college in town. And of course, I was a good student, no doubt about it. And I loved what I was doing. I had a couple of mentors in school. And if I have to briefly, I don't like to talk so much about myself.
Please, please. This is
But if I have to briefly say it, I was deeply shy, highly introverted, but with a lot of intense passion and desire to do great things in life. And when I was in school, I had one teacher who told me, Sister Grace, I cannot forget her name, and I'm mentioning the name because one of my school friends has logged in here. And Sister Grace told me one day, she said that, look, Asha, you're so good in your writing, so good in your thoughts. But unless you speak, how will anybody come to know? So whenever you feel ready, just raise your hand and I'm going to ask you to speak. So that's how, the confidence building happened. And there was another teacher, Mrs. D'Souza. So these were the two people I recollect very clearly who motivated me in their own quiet way. Then at the age of 22, you please tell me the timeline whenever I have to talk.
No, I'm enjoying. We are all enjoying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I was 22, I had completed my post graduation in psychology, and I love the subject. I was also good at writing, so I thought I must go for a PhD. But circumstances were such that I said, let me look for a job. And that took me to Administrative Staff College of India. Thanks to my father, by the way, I'd never heard of ASCII in those days. And it was a very famous place, very well-known, center of education in the country, but I had never heard about it. But that was fine. So my dad had some contact there, and he took me there. And I went and met Dr. Dharni Sinha, if you remember Dr. Dharni Sinha,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well known.
application there. And by the way, when I had gone there, Dr. Singh had not joined. That was sometime in late 1979, I guess, or early 80 something. And then one fine day, I get a letter saying that please come and meet. Your application has been, examined. And I was very confused. I have met a Dharni Sinha and I've got a letter from a Pritam Singh. Could not make out what was happening. But anyway, I went because I was very excited that, there may be a possibility. And we said, okay, we'll see, we'll get you something. And whatever job was there did not work out. And Dr. Singh personally felt very bad. And he said, I think, Asha, you're made for bigger things in life.
Wow.
And why don't you apply for your PhD? And I think that transformed the course of my life. And that was the first time I experienced something called inspiration. And, the seriousness with which you look at yourself, about your capabilities, about what possibilities. So, in terms of when a lot of people say that Dr. Singh has been a great mentor to them, I will say, yeah, at the age of 22, that was how the course of my journey, life journey was set. So, I hope you're satisfied with my childhood and education and aspiration. Now, where should I move next? Just tell me.
Yeah, my next question then comes. When you made a statement that so many people say behind every man there's a woman, and you said behind a successful person there's a family. I
Yeah,
love that statement, and that's a fact of life. When you look at me, there's a very strong family behind me. Not only my own family, then there's a family of friends like you who
right.
impacted me in my life. And then another thing which is hitting me is that when you met Dr. Singh first time, and he said, "You are meant for bigger things in life," and you rightly say that was inspirational. He was he was really an inspirational guy. We all miss him, but he's around us. Dr. Bhandarker, when I see your career ladder over the 3 decades, you have touched millions of people. I know you not only in India, globally, from Middle East to Europe to America, unknown, unheard, unbelievable programs which you have done. I remember our program, Dr. Singh and yourself in Thailand with us at Indorama Ventures when we were getting into the global world, and your impact, your personality, your persona has been very great. Now I want to know from you that how did you become what you are today? What kind of issues, what kind of challenges you had in getting to this level of professor of eminence, distinguished professor, and with that respectability in the education industry, I can say. How did you move, and how was that those challenges you mitigated and you could move forward?
Okay. Uh, um, I don't know if I had challenges because
Wow.
um, to me, I mean, everything that happens, you just take it on and you handle it. That's all. And you move on to the next thing. So I don't see it as a challenge or anything. And secondly, I don't see myself necessarily only as a woman. I define myself as a person.
Wow.
And because of that, regardless of any situation, I don't allow, or it does not come to my mind, because in my younger days, I was never treated only as a girl. I was treated as a person. And that's why I say family. And I think I was blessed. And therefore, I've never had any sense of inferiority at all, of any kind, which now I'm getting sensitized to around me.
Yeah.
So I just took on things as they happened. That's it. Because if you see my basic energy has been very intense. Aspirations have been very high. Determination has been very strong. Hard work has been my mantra. So I believe that once you have these ingredients, everything else follows. And of course, I've had a great champion in Dr. Pritam Singh.
Fantastic.
It is that championing, support, grooming, counseling, which has contributed to help channelize my intense energy.
Wow.
Yeah. Because if you met me in my 20s, I was quite a crazy girl, very, very intense. And I'm sure you can still see the sparks of it even
Yeah.
now. But I'm telling you, it is nothing compared to what I was in my 20s. So the greatest gift that I got from Dr. Singh is to find my purpose and to channel my energy. This is what I give my deepest gratitude and thanks to Dr. Singh for that.
Wow. Oh my God. In a short span of time, what could you talk about? And lovely. And I think this is a very great example to those people, because I am running a women power program separately, and leadership is again very huge in women power, that you looked yourself as a person, not as a woman.
Yes. Thank you.
Dr. Bhandarker, salutes to you. And then you are talking about your mantras is whatever mantras, but finally you say hard work.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Absolutely. So that
For
is what
excellence.
you are
Yeah.
made of. Every day you work so hard and you try to go to next level of excellence. And finally, you are saying that channelizing energy, getting a purpose and channelizing energy, which Dr. Pritam Singh has given you. You know, he is my guru as well. I may not be, he may not be that close with me, but my 25 years with Dr. Pritam Singh has been amazing. And I keep on talking. Whatever I am today, there's a lot of contribution from people like Dr. Pritam Singh, and even contribution from people like you in my life. And I keep on talking about Mr. S.Y. Siddiqui. I keep on talking about Mr. Rajan Datta. I keep on talking about VP Singh. I keep on talking about many friends who have impacted my life. Dr. Bhandarkar, my next question is, while I more to know about uh, your journey with Dr. Pritam Singh and you moving to the next level and next level and next level, can you share a couple of instances
Mhm.
wherein, and you have many instances, wherein, you know, the audience and myself can revisit that great man, and which gave you learning, like you just talked about finding purpose and channelizing energy. Are there one or two instances which you can share about leadership excellence? I'm talking leadership excellence, and how did he build in that kind of a leadership excellence with you? I
Hmm.
know some of the examples myself where we have been together, but I would like to know from you just one or two beautiful memories of mentored by Dr. Pritam Singh and you learning and taking it forward.
Okay, so we started doing these. So I started as a student, then became a co-trainer, co-author, so collaborated on a lot of projects, etc. So it has been an evolving journey over the last so many decades. So the earliest thing which strikes my mind, and he used to say this, and I took it personally as a learning for myself. There was a quote from not Confucius, Taoism, I think. The tall tree gets the wind. The wind does not care about the grass. So it gives you, when you listen to this, it gives you, it makes you prepared to face difficulties. If you want to stick your neck out, be prepared to face difficulties. So that is number one. Number two, leaders live in glass houses.
Oh, wow.
Glass house, you have to be on the straight and narrow. In glass houses, you can't throw stones at others, otherwise, others can also throw stones at you. Third one, be like Neelkant. Neelkant or Shiva. The property of Neelkant is holding, he's famous for having swallowed the poison, but not allowing it to affect his body. So it held in his neck. That is why he had a blue neck. So it's very symbolic and very beautiful, something which is unforgettable, that you neither poison yourself nor you poison others. So a great analogy or example for what a leader should be doing. First top management workshop, you won't believe it. I was his co-trainer for a workshop as early as I started my career in 1984. So within 3-4 years, I was given a chance to address the CEO and his team of Bayer India. I look back and say, my God, did he have so much? Of course, those days I would say, oh, I'm great, I'm fantastic, right? That is the confidence of the young when I was just 28, 29. And now I look back and say, oh my God, what confidence he had in me, that, I would be able to live up to the expectations. And, fundamentally, it means that a leader takes chances. A leader bets on people. A leader provides space for talent to flourish. And that's what I learned from this one single episode. I also have 2, 3 things to share. I think Dr. Singh was an intellectual wanderer, right? So from mythology to psychology to sociology, of course, to the hardcore business and strategy. So he was everywhere. I think that was very unique in a person who could bring together. He did his post graduation in commerce, right?
Yeah.
And then moved on to all these things. So that is why there was this unique capacity to have this breadth of vision and the depth of intensity of concern and care for humanity.
Wow.
Shall I stop here, or you want me to say more?
Yeah, should be fine. Now, when you're talking about learning from these mentor and something from Dr. Singh, and when you are saying about Nilkant and Shiva, that's really attracting, and it's making us to understand what actually leadership is. And you talked about Dr. Singh as intellectual wanderer,
Yeah.
and I think when I'm looking at my journey with him, fascinating. How many books you wrote with Dr. Singh as a co-author? 7?
7 are done. The 8th book is completed, and it's ready to be released on 9th of December. And when I look back at those books, I say, oh my God, did we do this work? How did we do this work? Oh my goodness, it is so much hard work. Yeah, but it's done.
Every time I come to India and I will go to Dr. Singh's house, he will give me a new book. I am not able to change my profile picture on my Facebook, which he gave me last book. Because so many people say, why don't you change the profile picture? I said, I cannot change. I don't feel like changing. I just keep it on. That is the power of that great man. Okay, now we move forward. Dr. Bhandarker, I know you as a trainer, world-class trainer, facilitator. And I remember, and I want to give you that. It's a case study for me. We were in Afghanistan in a place called Mazar-e-Sharif for 6 days and training 60 top women leaders of that country, senators, ministers, directors, educationists. And we were 6, 7 of us. And I cannot forget when you were in the classroom or even that place outside when you were doing those exercise and making these people to understand. And we had an simultaneous translation going on. I want to tell it at this particular point of time. You were one of the best among the class, among all of us, 6, 7 people who had gone to training, and people still remember you. What makes you different than others? That's my quick question.
Wise. Mhm. There is a perceived reality and then actual reality. Internally, I'm always trying to do my best and to to better and better than before. I am an extremely restless person. I get very bored to say the same thing twice, and I continuously push myself to do more.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you.
God bless you. What a great learning, my God. Dr. Bhandarker, when I look at you, and I was talking in the beginning about 3 T's and the COVID days, and you talked about trust, transparency, and togetherness. Now, when I see the business houses today, the corporate world, the smaller medium enterprises, the smaller companies or the bigger companies, there's always today a issue about being compassionate with people, but at the same time being agile in business. How do you see this struggling period of DC during COVID? BC we can never get before COVID. AC we don't know when we will get. How do you see, and what is your suggestion to struggling business leaders, which you must be doing in boardrooms at PNB and many places? What's your message? What do you think you will give inputs to them about this present state of affairs and how to move, reboot, and rebuild businesses?
Yeah. So after Corona will happen after vaccine. So AV के बाद AC आएगा. But seriously speaking, I think, of course, we all know that the way the pandemic has expanded and grown, it has made us reflect. It has made us reflect. It has made us pause and look at our own humanity.
Wow.
And I think the age of macho, capitalist, extreme grasping, extreme profiteering days are on the downswing. And people are looking for organizations which also take care of them.
Wow.
We need companies and leaders with a human face and a human touch. In fact, during the pandemic, I heard a speech on TV by Suresh Narayanan, who's the chairman and MD of Nestle. And his endeavor was to calm down his people and say, none of you are going to lose jobs. And that was the one leader who came up so high in my estimation because here he is. I mean, does it mean he doesn't want profits? His businesses are not affected? Of course, everybody is hurting, everybody is bleeding. But the main difference is he is a leader with heart. And I was, deeply touched by this fact. And imagine if he had not made this statement, entire team which is behind him have been betraying, you know. And more, I think the era is about carrying people, carrying all stakeholders, including the unborn stakeholder, if you ask me.
Wow.
What is the earth we are leaving for the future? So, therefore, this philosophy of the 3 Ps, profit, people, and planet, I think now it is getting more and more center stage as majority of the world's population is suffering and only a minuscule population in to be counted in a few hundreds are becoming richer and richer. I don't think the situation can move forward unless for humanity, unless more and more of these rich people loosen up their purse strings and also take care of people. Otherwise, I think there's going to be more war, more mayhem, many more rebellious groups, many more revolutionary groups are going to come up, and there's going to be more chaos and more disaster across the world. And I attribute it to extreme greed, selfishness, and short sightedness of a few leaders. That's in brief my thought. We need to be compassionate, we need to talk of sustainability, and we need to talk of all stakeholders. I don't think we can afford not to do this.
Very brilliant. In fact, you put me into a lot of thoughts while mentioning people, profits, and planet, and the role of leaders in this present stage. And no more a macho. It's going to be a very different world altogether post COVID as well. Dr. Bhandarkar, Asha ji, uh, you do so much of work, and you are one of the icons in nation building because you are producing the future generations, as well as you're doing a lot of work with the top leaders of the country as well as in global world. So you are a global builder, a nation builder, people builder, global talent. You are rather building global talent. What is one motivation fit Dr. Bhandarkar has got in doing this?
I guess it's your value system.
Wow.
Once you reach a certain stage in life, what more do you want in your life? How much is enough and how much is too much? You should be giving, you should be doing, you should be making the world a better place. I think that's my value system.
Wow.
And
Fantastic.
in Sanskrit, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina.
Ah, survey words. How do you see, Dr. Bhandarkar, the situation of ethical leadership in our day-to-day corporate world, especially DC and DC and AC? Will there be any difference in terms of, while you mentioned a lot of stuff on people, profit, and planet, and do you think there is going to be a difference of approach on perspective of ethical leadership in the corporate world in days to come?
I think there ought to be, in fact, two things: ethical leadership and authentic leadership. Now, you cannot lead the younger generations without these two types of leadership. For the younger generations, Gen Y or Gen Z, so very, very different in terms of the value systems. And my study on millennials that I published as Millennials and the Workplace with Dr. Preetham Singh, in that book, if you see, you'll find that the value systems have drastically changed. They're more humanistic in orientation. They need more human approach and human touch. They believe in relationships. And probably this is the generation of people who have experienced a decent amount of security in life. So for them, the next challenge would be that, to be treated with dignity at the workplace and to be treated with, humanity at the workplace. And I find that if you want to attract, because the future is all about great talent that a company can attract. You want to attract good talent. I don't think there is any other option because we have to make a fit between the expectations of the people and the companies. And of course, 20 years ago in early 2000s, companies used to say, oh, these kids are not bothered about the company. They are bothered about themselves. I have seen that time. And they had to fit in because they were in a minority, minuscule minority. Today, they are, I think, more than 50% in many companies. In fact, in banks, the pyramid has been reversed. But the top few percent, a few people, I don't call them a bottleneck, but if they are entire enlightened people, they have to adapt. And they have to provide authentic leadership. By that, I mean being more transparent, being more real, being more collegial, more collaborative, providing people greater opportunities to, do things, rather than the age-old, hierarchical, imposing, one-way communication type of leadership. Regarding ethical leadership, which was your original question, my response to that is that uh, the COVID era itself has taught us the importance of this. Because when I talked about Suresh Narayanan and him and assuring his people about the safety of their jobs, I would say that was the most ethical thing to do, you know. So these are the two things.
Wow, I think that makes a great understanding of ethical and authentic leadership. I was watching a video today of Prime Minister Modi with this ISRO's chief. I have a session tomorrow. I was looking for something, and how he was hugging him. And this, I think, 2019 video, and that showed a very significant approach of authentic leadership. You have brilliantly been responding to my questions. I am going to come to an end because there are going to be questions coming from the audience. Dr. Bhandarker, you know that I am running a program called Women Power, a global movement, wherein 100,000 women will be on this platform by 2021, 1 million by 2024. There's a crazy idea I take. And you have been there part of this program. The first program, what we did in May 2020, yourself, Dr. Kiran Bedi, and as you know, it is under UN Sustainable Development Goal number 5. What is women empowerment for you? What do you want to tell about what is women empowerment? And I'm looking at perspective of a leader. You are a woman and you are a leader and you are a person. I'm getting clearly. You are not making yourself to be a woman, you are making yourself to be a person. And when we talk about leadership, how do you define this? Because audience will be there will be some women. I can see Jennifer from Malaysia already there. She is a women power in Malaysia. I can see Neha already there. She's another women power. What is your view on women empowerment, gender equality?
Okay. First of all, I think leadership is beyond gender. I don't think it's gender based.
I must give a big round of applause for this. Let the audience know. First of all, leadership is not gender. Wow.
Now, why I say it's beyond gender is because I have seen the most nurturing male leaders. And you know very well that Dr. Singh has been a very nurturing person. Would you say that, he's less of a leader because he's nurturing? I would say the strength is because he was nurturing.
Yeah,
And
true.
likewise, you have seen very strong and very determined women as leaders. So it depends on human nature. I think you can have both kinds of qualities in male leaders and female leaders. You need to do the right thing at the right time. I think that's more important. Show the qualities which are relevant. Whether you're a man or a woman, if somebody needs to be nurtured, you need to nurture. So sometimes you have to be tough or assertive. You have to be tough or assertive. So that is the mantra of responding to the context rather than being sensitive to you, whether you're a man or a woman. So that is my first point. The second is, given the way the sociology of the whole thing, the entire domination, unfortunately, which happens, which many people experience, women experience, or the power play and politics which takes place, I would say that women should network, women should find champions and mentors for themselves. There's no harm in seeking help because many women have this tendency to say that, but how can I ask? There is a hesitation to ask for help. Deliver the best. And I don't think there is any need to be guilty if you're playing multiple roles. You are trying your best. That is all right. Have faith. Because many times we lose our confidence thinking of the immediate, you know. And this is a generational insight which I've seen from multiple generations, maybe my grandparents, my parents, and now me. Now I'm giving you another mantra. Like you had 3 T's, I'm giving you 4 H.
Wow.
So let's start with hope, humility, humanity, and hard work.
Beautiful.
Last
Hope,
message would be
hope, humility, humanity, hard work. Can I add one more?
yes,
Happiness.
happiness. Good, great.
Because when you add happiness to this, a happy mind, will have hope, will be humble, and is a great human, and will work very hard.
And lastly, I would say be global in outlook, but take pride in your roots and heritage
Wow.
to what you're capable of doing.
So I come to that last question then.
Okay.
Mr. Modi talks about global talent vocally and locally. That's where you just pinch me. Yes, we need to be thinking global, acting local. How do you see that happening in our country in days to come? And how do you see other countries also following this in a global perspective?
You're taking me back somewhere in time because, I've traveled 19 countries,
Yeah, I know.
interacted with all kinds of people in different parts of the world.
Hmm.
Me, the most resonant question which comes up, and it initially used to bother me, or I used to take pride, is to say, "Oh, you're from India, but you speak English so well."
Mhm.
At that time, for me, it was a matter of pride that somebody is appreciating my English. But then, when I reflected, I realized that I'm a stranger to my own heritage. I was brought up as I studied in a convent school, so therefore my focus was more on the culture and the world that you inherit depends upon the language in I study. I realized that I'm a stranger to my own heritage. I was brought up as I studied in a convent. Yeah. So therefore, it is when I interacted with Dr. Preetham Singh and found him bringing forward to the table knowledge from our own roots.
Wow.
And that had a great, great impact on me. And that helped me to build pride, and that helped me to build confidence, and that helped me to stay rooted. Thank you.
I am through with my questions, Dr. Bhandarkar, and there are questions coming from the audience. And the first person who is asking a question is Rajesh Gurumurthy. Rajesh ji, I am going to unmute you because I would like you to ask the question yourself. Rajesh ji. Rajesh, I am unmuting you. Please go ahead and ask question yourself. Mr. Rajesh Gurumurthy. I have
Hi,
unmuted.
ma'am. Am I audible?
Hi, Rajesh. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Very good, very good.
It's wonderful to be a part of this the
Okay.
talk. I think some lovely points made. Yeah. So Asha, ma'am, of course, is an esteemed and honored teacher of mine.
Wow.
I've had the privilege of being taught by her. Yeah, ma'am, my question, I think after having been part of the corporate world, since we're talking about aspects of leadership, I think one practical scenario that a lot of people experience on a day-to-day basis is the fact that, some of the leadership principles change, right? And it's largely individual driven. So even when one talks about organizational culture, a lot of it is person driven is what it seems like. So really, in an organizational sense, how does one look at a sustainable culture model?
Right. Okay. Thank you for that question. Thank you for listening in. Thank you for logging in. Rajesh, great to connect with you after a long time. By the way, Rajesh was one of my favorite students way back. Which year, Rajesh? 2000?
8 pass out. Yeah.
2008 pass out. So
Good
2007.
to know you, Rajesh.
Thank you.
So my quick response to that would be that, look, every person in a leadership position tries to create the organization in his own image. There is always that temptation. And every successor who comes does this. The difference is that the common underlying factor of two things, if the leader is a secure person and a self confident person, he would say, let me focus on the institution and let me see how I can build this institution to become a greater institution. Right? I've seen great leaders who say, without tearing down something, let me see how I can transform. Right? So, on the ground level, what it would mean is, in a very practical sense, the way you ask the question, the leader's intent should be clear, number one. The leader's value about humanity should be clear, number two. Beyond that, I think people don't mind whatever other facets are brought in. But the whole problem arises in companies because the leaders want to tear down and rebuild. First of all, their timeline doesn't allow it, because then the short timeline makes it just a time pass situation. That is the problem. And I've seen this in not one or two, but many people who occupy leadership positions who are themselves very insecure people. And Rajesh, believe me, even those days, I don't know if Dr. Singh addressed you all, but his concern used to be the crisis of leadership. More and more people are selfish rather than thinking of the larger cause. So this is a problem which companies face, and I'm keenly aware of it. But this is what happens, and my solution to this is that there should be proper systems in place which carry certain things forward, whereas certain things can be changed, and that is all right. And the core underlying underpinning should be the value system of humanity and value system of not tearing the organization but growing the organization. Thank you, Rajesh. I hope I've answered somewhat.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks, Rajesh, being there. Every Wednesday we have a leadership series. Next leadership series, we have another great gentleman from Europe, Alfredo Benz. He's again known to her daughter Bhandarker. She only recommended her to be on program next Wednesday. Thanks, Rajesh, and
Thank you.
I hope you got your response. I can see Kanupriya. Hi, ma'am, Kanupriya. Here is my opportunity. Your opportunity to ask a question. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It has been lovely listening to this, because these kind of thoughts don't come to us in our daily course of life. And I've had the pleasure of meeting Bakshi sir in campus in Manav Rachna. So it's nice seeing you again, sir. And thank you so much, Asha ma'am, for such lovely insights into leadership. Specifically, that line that leadership is beyond gender will serve as a vision to many, I'm sure.
Thank
So,
you.
ma'am, I am Kanupriya. I'm the Deputy Director of Admissions with the Manav Rachna Group of Institutions. Often we hear, and I'm a student of HR, I've done my MBA in HR. We've been hearing that the role of leaders is to develop more leaders. And
Yeah.
as a leader, there we have to nurture that there is an alignment of personal goals of our employees, our team members, with the organizational goals. So when we go on to developing more leaders, sometimes it comes at the cost of the organization. So what are can you if you can simplify on how to develop more leaders where neither is the employee at loss nor is the organization at loss?
This is a very big dilemma which companies face. Great companies handle it by saying that we are contributing to nation building. And I'll give you an example. Hindustan Levers, before it was HUL, it was Hindustan Lever. For many decades, or TAS, for many decades, not TAS, Hindustan Lever, for many decades, they would develop the best leaders. And then they would find that they're leaving and joining other companies. But still they continued because the philosophy was we are building the country, we are
Absolutely.
building the sector, and that is fine. So it's a philosophical thing that you don't stop. For example, in your family, do you stop your children from getting the best of education, saying that, oh, tomorrow he'll be out of my control? So that's not the way to see it. Manav Rachna should see itself as a nurturer of leadership for the country, for the education sector. I think that will be the best contribution of an educational sector or as a company to the country. I know this is very idealistic, but then I tell you, best things happen when you have vision and idealism. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you so much, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Anupriya, thanks for joining. And in fact, Dr. Sanjay Srivastava is very closely known, your vice chancellor, and we always feel proud of him. Convey my regards to him.
Sure,
And
sir. He's our mentor, sir. I'll definitely pass on your regards to him.
yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Atal. And I can see another hand here. And yeah, Dr. Bhandarker, where did she go? And I can see, oh, Ravinder Pandita Saab is asking a question. You can ask yourself, Ravinder Panditaji. I am unmuting you. Here is an opportunity to ask this great lady, Ravinder Pandita Saab.
Namaskar, ma'am. Am I audible? I'm calling
Yes.
from New Delhi right now. Listening to your talk, very absorbing. And I am very pleased that Nari Shakti Jindabad is my slogan.
Asha ji has to unmute
Nari
first.
Shakti.
Wait a while. Okay. Yes, Ravinderji, repeat.
Nari Shakti, I have been laying emphasis, and you are one of them. So proud of you. And
Thank you.
my simple question is, what is the single most big quality, the greatest quality of a woman leader? One single quality, you tell me, ma'am.
I'll give you two,
Please,
not one.
big woman leader like you.
I'll give you two qualities.
Yeah.
One is faith in yourself, and second is desire to do. Make a difference, change the world, change the minds of people. Unless you have that, you can do nothing. Because whether you're in academics or you're in corporate, whatever you do, whatever you say should make a difference. So these are two things, sir.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Make a difference. Pandita Saab, thank you for joining. We're rushing to the next question. And I have a question on the other platform I will take. This is a person called AJ on the Global Talent TV. He's saying, what is the difference between the leadership, the way the leadership is handled in India and globally? Is there any difference?
Difference may be cultural, because it is all about what type of leaders are acceptable in what cultures.
I see.
In certain cultures, probably you have to be more less aggressive. In other cultures, you probably have to be more assertive, because again, it is coming deep down from this, to crudely put it, this stereotyping of the male-female behaviors and expectations. For example, if I am somewhere in the South, I may be more aggressive and more assertive in the way I speak. Whereas if I'm in the North, I am softer, because the Northern Indian culture is more macho, if I can put it that way. So ultimately, you ask yourself the question, what do you want to achieve? Are you trying to, pander to your own ego? Or are you trying to get something done as a leader? So again, the principle of context and adaptation. You do the right thing, whatever is relevant, whatever is required. Suppose I'm in France, I have to show a certain behavior. Suppose I'm in Philippines and I become very assertive, I think as a leader I'll be completely rejected. And suppose I'm in the US and I become very soft, people will not see me as a leader at all. So these are the cultural nuances, I believe, but fundamentally, these are all personality related, cultural related issues. But above all, I truly believe our humanist values, I think, work everywhere in the world. The way you show it is different, the way you express it is different. But being a humanist, integrating your humanist orientation with the business challenges will make you a very acceptable leader anywhere in the world. Thank you.
What a great response. Thank you so much. AJ, I hope you got it. I have got another question from Usha Juneja. Is asking Dr. Bhandarkar, why did you choose to be a professor? Why not to be in the corporate world?
Opportunity, that's all. Imagine I was 22, I did my PhD. I wanted to, I was very interested in learning and scholarship and writing, etc. And since I was those days a little more introverted, although none of my students believe it, I was introverted actually. And so I felt that this would be the best thing for me. Yeah.
Fantastic. I am here unmuting Namita Kasan. Namita ji, please go ahead and ask question, Namita ji. You are in US somewhere, is it? Good
Yes,
morning.
I am. Yes,
Good
I
morning.
am, Mr. Bakshi.
Which part of US you are?
I'm in Delaware. That's very close to DC and New York, east
Yeah.
part of the United States.
Yes. Good morning to you.
Good morning. And it's so lovely to see my good friend from high school, Dr. Bhandarker on TV. And I've known Asha for a very long time. I've always had a lot of deep love for her because she is a beautiful person, very confident, very much knowing what she wants to do, how she wants to do, and just hearing and learning more about her has been just fills my heart with more pride for Asha. So let's
you.
start with that. A question for you. I have been lucky to be in leadership roles, in executive roles since 1985, whether it's chief financial officer, chief investment officer, chief information officer, administrative officer, now executive vice president. And I know being a leader is a privilege. And there's a lot of heat in being a leader. And I've heard that if you find that heat too much, leave the stage because nobody's asking you to be a leader. You want to be a leader, take the heat and do the right thing. So my question is, with your knowledge and experience globally, what would be your guidance on helping a leader understand the people and the company that they're leading? Because a leader can have strategies, can have a vision, can lead, can take you certain directions, but it's important to understand what's in the heart of the people. What are the people looking for? Are you at the right time and the right place for those leaders? And leaders use different venues to get to that information. What kind of venues have you found to be most beneficial?
Thank you, Namita. That's such a lovely question. To quickly answer that, because I think we are getting towards the end of this session.
Please go ahead. We will be enjoying. Don't
Okay.
be.
Okay. So, my immediate thought was that leadership is also a type of relationship.
Wow.
And when we say it's a relationship, that means it has to be cultivated. If it has to be cultivated, leaders should get out there and be human beings with their colleagues and other people that they work with. In the Indian context, you know that Indians do value relationships above many other things, value family above many other things. So I have observed that the moment a leader takes interest not only in the person himself or herself, but also tries to help others in the family, like, counseling the child or inquiring about the child or trying to help in some way. So this is one typical thing I've seen which has been very, very successful. And I say that reason being is successful leaders like, the gentleman who headed L&T, gentleman that is A.M. Naik, or even Sunil Mittal, or even Kiran Mazumdar Shaw. All my case studies on these people has shown that they went out of their way to build bonds with their core talent. And with them, they would go to any extent to build the relationship, to build the bonds. Maybe it could be, over a meal. Maybe it could be over a celebration. Because whenever a leader spends a little time with his or her team, it matters. And I think it makes a difference. So, in conclusion, leadership is also about a relationship. And therefore, building the relationship, depending on whichever culture you're in, building that relationship. In some cultures, it may be more, in some cultures, it may be less. But our humanity is such that we are all happy to be helped. Although I know you are working in an environment where self sufficiency is the value, independence is the value. But COVID times have told us everybody is crying out for help. Thank you, Namita. Lovely question.
Thanks, Namita, for joining us. Namita, be in touch with us. And as I said, every Wednesday we have a new DNA of leadership. Same time, every Wednesday and Saturday we have a Women Power. I would like to get in touch with you because when I am hearing your background, probably I would like to talk to you, share your contacts with us. In fact, we had Scott Friedman last week. We have two Americans with us in January, back-to-back doctors. So doctors, even we have got now next Alfredo, who is again education excellence leader from Europe. Then we have a lieutenant general. Then we have a director general of police. That's the combination. So leadership is in every field, and we have an Indian cricketer coming in. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to move to the next one quick. I can Jennifer from Malaysia, Sarawak. Yes, I unmute you, Jennifer. Jennifer is our women power in Malaysia, and she has been attending our lot of programs when we do it in Kuala Lumpur and Sarawak. Please. Yes, Jennifer, go ahead.
Okay, good evening, Dr. Vashi and Dr. Bhandarker.
Good evening.
Okay, I'm very happy to hear this and join this session. Can you both of you hear me here?
Yes, you're clear.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
please. Go on.
Actually, it's very interesting session actually because this leadership is nobody can. I mean, is no one is born with it. You know, it's what must be practiced at the young age, practiced at home through their parents, through the school, to the universities, and where they're working. That is how, because leadership is once you carry it, it shows the integrity in someone, the honors and the trust is carried by the one person. I think that is the best thing is to prove that you can be a good leader. Leadership is by a good example for everyone. So I don't have any questions here, but it's very interesting sessions. I learned a lot today. It's very
Thank
good
you.
session. Yeah. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
The time, Jennifer, for joining from all the way from Sarawak, Malaysia. Here is another question. Does male chauvinism take some sheen off from upcoming women leadership? Dr. Bhandarker.
Sad to say
Yes.
that if men take a contrarian position on this matter, because, and I will not be surprised if men feel challenged because women leaders are coming up. Because in certain cultures and certain parts of India, I think a person defines their superiority vis-a-vis gender, And I'm going to give you an extremely silly example. Extremely silly example, which was extremely shocking for me. It was in Jagdishpur.
Oh, I see.
Jagdishpur, where you have this factory, Indo-Gulf. Indo-Gulf, you will see Dr. Singh and I used to do tons of work there many years ago. And if you're staying there and doing a program for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, you have clothes to be washed. So the dhobi was a male.
Yeah.
And when I called him and said that I have some clothes, can you take care of it?
Mhm.
His response was, I don't wash the clothes of females.
Oh,
So the bugger is poor.
yeah,
Bugger needs money.
yeah.
But his pride, his sense of pride comes from the fact that he will do anything for a man, but not for a woman.
Oh my God.
Yes. So this little thing gave me the insight about the thought process. This is male chauvinism at its worst.
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm.
And that is in a, I mean, small place, and I don't blame the poor chap. He's responding based on whatever he has learned in his society, you know. But then it makes us reflect. Do men think like this? Because fundamentally, I have seen between men and women, ultimately it becomes a struggle for power,
Oh, yeah,
a struggle for dominance.
yeah.
Same thing in companies, the same thing at home. This is a very bitter reality.
Mhm.
Many women face day in and day out. I was hearing an example about how, a husband and wife, both were judges.
Mhm.
And yet, when both of them reached home, it was the wife who would go straight into the kitchen, take care of the meals, take care of the, tea, rather than both sharing the load. So, I mean, this clear, dramatic role division which happens, unless that mindset changes somewhat, I don't think women leaders can come up because the husband ultimately says that everything is fine, but I'm your boss. You cannot earn more than me, for example. It starts wrong. You cannot earn more than me, if somebody says. It's a very, very bitter thing.
But at the same time, Dr. Bhandarkar, now the times have changed, and both uh, male and women, they are together into the kitchen and they do a lot of work together. Gone are the days when I could expect my wife to be doing everything for me. Probably even I help my wife. And in the Western world, in any case, my children are doing themselves a lot of work in the kitchen along with, women folk. That's past. So I think we need to get over from this. I have now,
No,
we are,
I need to quickly respond to that.
yeah,
I think your wife has handled you people very well.
I like that. I like that. I need to move forward. Anshul is the director of the Evolve Business School in Mumbai. She is our women power lady also in Mumbai. Anshul, you want to ask question? Be quick and fast.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much, Bakshi sir, and thank you so much, Dr. Asha. It's a really, so insightful session and discussion that I'm hearing. But one thing that comes to my mind is that since childhood, we are always, listening to only one thing, that we are born different, and we are blessed with different qualities for that matter, like being men and women. But then, do we need to look forward for some kind of similarities or uniformity? Because ultimately, when we talk about corporates, it's always the work is being divided as per the compatibilities or competencies of people. So why that should not happen when it comes to gender? Because normally we always feel कि हम लड़की हैं तो why I should be doing this, but I think when our society, the Indian society, when all these things were, or the values were laid down, it was considered in mind that women being more flexible, being more intelligent and more tolerant to an extent, that's how the work was divided to be more towards home, or like that, and male being more physically strong. So other kind of roles were designed that way. So what is your take on this, Asha ma'am? Because I'm seeing that you are talking a lot about, okay, why women should not do or should not be given privileged when it comes to working at domestic front.
Oh, I didn't say any such thing. I am making myself very clear. I think gender is one such thing. which, I may be a man, I may be a woman, but when it's at home, both should be sharing the load. I'm very clear about it. And when it's at work, I should be judged more by my competencies than by my gender. Gender is a fact of nature. That's it. And as Bakshiji said, yes, things are changing because 2 decades ago, Maruti would tell me, Mr. Siddiqui would tell me that no young girls want to go onto the factory floor and work. But in the last 1 decade, he has been telling me that, look, amazing girls are coming in now. They insist that we should be treated like men. Give us the night shift. We will prove ourselves to you. So those changes are also happening. And, this is somewhat like stereotyping which is happening between men and women. It's kind of stereotyping. The reality is that women, and this famous Ardhanarishwara, concept. Ardhanarishwara is half male and half female. What that simply means is that we are endowed with both kinds of capabilities at the psychological and emotional level. And the height of our self-actualization and transformation is if we can use both these capacities. And I say, the masculine capacities, that would be aggression, energy, speed of response. You say feminine, it may be softer, more nurturant, more giving, more emotional, more loving. But we see both men and women showing both these qualities. I think parents should bring up their children keeping in mind that both these qualities are important. I think that's the only way the future is going to change, and it's happening. I'm very excited. Yeah.
Thanks for joining, Anshul, and thanks a ton. I can see Mr. N.P. Kakkar from Saraburi, Thailand, raising a question. Yes, Kakkar sir, I unmute you. Can you hear me? Mr. N.P. Kakkar from Saraburi, Thailand. You have to unmute yourself. Yes. Yes, Kakkar sir. Okay. Now I have some more questions. In the meanwhile, I can read Namita saying, Asha ji, beautiful answer. COVID and zooming into employees' home had given great opportunity to see each other as human beings, seeing them in all their relationships, not just staff at the company. Beautiful. And Asha ji, do you know where we are now? So
I know.
and now I need to be really stopping here. And before I stop and request for a final vote of thanks, I would like to thank everyone whosoever has joined from different parts of the world. Every Wednesday evening, 5:30 p.m. IST, we have this new DNA of leadership series. And every Saturday we have hashtag Women Power, a global movement. So keep on logging into Global Talent, and it will be a pleasure to get more and more questions to our guest speakers. And we have personalities like Dr. Asha Bhandarker, Kiran Bedi, Mr. Shivani, Alfredo, and Scott Friedman, and from the different parts of the world joining us. At the end, I would like in Narula, Achan in Narula, who is our Thai Sikh born in Thailand, and he is the part of Global Talent, Director of Global Talent in Thailand. And of course, he knows Asha ji also very well. Vote of thanks. Achan in Savadikap, vote of thanks.
Sawati Krapom. Good evening, Dr. Bakshi, and especially Dr. Asha Bhandarker.
Thank you.
On a personal note, I'm sure Dr. Bakshi feels the same. We look forward to welcoming you here in Thailand and perhaps doing some workshop here together. Definitely not in Afghanistan.
Thank you.
Dr. Bakshi, maybe we can get all the participants from Afghanistan to come here and see Thailand. Absolutely. Now, to go on the vote of thanks, Dr. Asha Bhandarker, we like to thank you to no end. This evening, the discourse has been very educational, extremely, as always. I always learn a lot listening to you. Now, what is I'm trying to cap up into 5 particular areas. The first one is, as you are growing up, your family supported you and encouraged you to be who you are today. In particular, you were talking about the 2 teachers who opened you up, brought you out of the shell. And that was Sister Grace and Sister D'Souza. Thanks to them, because you are great today. Now, at the age of 22 plus, it was Dr. Singh who came into your life, who came into the picture, and he inspired you to channelize your energy so that you work hard, to never give up, and to find a purpose in life. All this have given you a vision, a clear purpose and goals in life. And this has helped you to move forward in life without the drama of life. And that's very important. When you don't have purpose, you go dismay. And this really has helped you. So we thank Dr. Singh, wherever he is, to no end. We miss you. We love you. Now, let me go on. As leader, let us learn from Shivaji also. Protect your team. Allow your team to take initiative. They might make mistakes sometimes. Let us learn from it and move forward. Solve issues. Be an appreciative and not a blaming leader. Because people, as they move, as they take initiative, some of them will make mistakes. The 4th point that I like to make, as leaders, strive to be an intellectual leader, if possible, like Dr. Singh, because he is a 360-degree, a total leader. We have to be comparing ourselves to ourselves yesterday, meaning let us be better today than yesterday. Be compassionate and agile. Balance result and relationship for yourself, for your customer, for your co-workers. Treat them with dignity. For your stakeholders, for your community. And importantly, respect facts. Be transparent. Leadership, at the end, the 5th point, is beyond gender. Leaders has to provide hope, should be humble, and leaders should be concerned about humanity. Leaders should work hard. And last but not least, a leader should create a happy home, a happy working place. Be global and never ever forget your heritage. We are proud Indians, but we are global Indians. Dr. Asha ji, just to add a little bit, women, when they are invited to engage in a peace treaty, wherever it happens in the world, the peace treaty always lasts longer and is more respected because women are involved. Once again, Dr. Asha ji, thank you to no end. We love you and we look forward to conducting more workshops with you. And Dr. Bakshi, you too also. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, In. Such a privilege.
Thank you very much, Achan in Narula, Kapur Maglakab. Thank you, Ashaji, for your precious time. You just see we are 60 plus 20, 80 minutes, Dr. Bhandarker. That is the magic of your personality and the questions. I still have some more questions. I will keep sending it to you, but I must thank you from the core of my heart. And today is a very powerful day, 25th November, when we are even remembering our great mentor, Padma Shri Dr. Pritam Singh, who is around us, because he has been my mentor, he has been your mentor, he has been mentor of In Narula and many people. Thank you very much for spending time with us. Thanks all the attendees from different parts and those who are going to be watching it later on. I would be coming out with one digital notebook about this new DNA of leadership by end of March. Because by end of March, I will be interviewing around 30 leaders around the world. And the second book probably will be in the 3rd quarter of 2021. But the first book on a digital one will be available with snapshots from each of the speakers by end of March. Keep logging into new DNA of leadership and women power, a global moment. Thank you very much, Dr. Asha.
Jai Sharda.
Thank you,
Jai
Ji. Thank
Sharda.
you all. Thank
Jai
you, Dr.
Sharda
Asha.
ji.
Thank you, Dr. Bakshi.
Jai
Thank you.
Sharda ji. Thank you so much for joining.
Jai
Anup,
Sharda.
Namita, Jennifer, Kakar Saab, Anshul, and many people whosoever joined. I can see Aryan Ramesh joined now. Cyril, many people have joined. Neha, Pavan, Ratan Sharma, Tapasvi Saab, Vidya, many people. Thank you very much, Asha ji. We log out and good night. And a great day to you, Namita, in Dallas. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Take care.